Alright, so here's the situation. Prices are going up on some games that you were interested in getting. So what do? Naturally, the same thing you do anytime you're not sure what to do. Panic. Or you could always, do something else like not panic. The thing is, people get major FOMO when it comes to these games because they think the price is only going to continue to going up and up, so I might as well just buy it now, cut my losses, and then at least I'll have it before the prices get even more ridiculous than they already are. Here's the problem with that though. Once you panic buy something, you're giving into those high prices and sellers will just continue to raise the price. Sellers will do whatever they can get away with. But this only works if everybody decides to not give in to the high prices. And some people are just going to say, you know what, I'm going to look out for myself, get this, and then whatever happens with the prices after that, it's not my problem anymore. What people fail to underestimate though, and I see this all the time, is how you still can save money if you're just a little bit patient. And I don't mean patient in terms of like, oh, let's wait a couple years for the price to go down, because that may or may not happen. I'm talking about being patient just within a few days or maybe a week or two. For example, if we talk about eBay for a second, one of the places most famous for people jacking up the prices on games, there have been some instances where there's a game I want and I look and I'm like, man, this price sucks. So I just wait for a few days, maybe a week, message sellers, seeing if they'll work with me on price in a nice way, that is. And eventually I'll get the game for way cheaper than what it would have been had I just hopped onto eBay and immediately bought the cheapest listing that I could find. And when you buy that game for a lower price, you kind of are helping everyone else because people can look at those completed sold listings and see that the game actually did sell for a lower price, and that may encourage them to think, hey, if this person bought the game for this low price, then maybe I should be able to as well. And they'll hold out and not give in to those higher prices. So by not giving in to those high prices, you're not only helping yourself out, you're helping out your fellow retro gamers. And what could be better than that? The thing is, panic doing anything is usually not the best way of doing it. Panic eating? Nope. Panic driving? No. Panic shaving? Ooh, definitely not. Panic plunging of the toilet? Okay. Touche on that one. Okay, but so forget about waiting a few days or even just a few weeks for a game to drop in price. Are there situations where you should wait maybe a few years, maybe a decade for prices of games to go down? Well, if you're willing to wait is one of the factors for sure. Maybe you don't want to wait that long to play the game. You want to play it now. But the other thing to consider is, where are the prices going? Have they been going up for a really long time, or are they just starting to go up? If the prices on certain games have been going up for a long time, then there's a greater likelihood that it might come down at some point. Prices don't just go up infinitely. It sure does seem like it for some games, but not for all games. For example, the prices on some NES games actually were dropping for a while. Now then, of course, quarantine came and all the rules went out the window and prices just started going buck wild for all things video games. But before that, some of the prices on NES games were actually dropping. Now, the higher profile games, maybe not so much. Those just seem to always go up no matter what. It's pretty hard to see those go down. We're talking about stuff like Little Samson, things like that. Something that any gamer is always trying to do is buy games before they start to rise in price. The problem is, what if you're not necessarily interested in those games before or after their prices rise? You're like, I don't care how much this game costs, I don't really want it. Something I see all the time is people will be like, collect for this console because the prices are really low right now. And I'm like, but I don't really care about that console. So I'm not just going to collect it because the prices are lower than they will be in the future. And in a way, that could be a form of panic buying in itself. You're like, oh my goodness, these games are going to get really expensive. I better buy them now. And maybe you're screwing yourself if they're games you don't necessarily want. Now, if you do want those games, then by all means, yes, get them while they're cheaper. Something else that I'll see people banking on a lot of times is for a game to be re-released, either digitally or physically. Now, a lot of times when this happens, it will actually lower the price of the original game at least a little bit, but then it'll just go right back up at a certain point. Of course, when a game does get re-released, you have the option of just buying the re-release, which is going to be cheaper. You don't necessarily need to go back and buy the original. Depending what you're okay with, you have that second option now. Alright, but with that, before I wrap things up, I do need to talk about the elephant in the room, which is those really high-priced games that do just continue to increase and increase and increase in price. In those cases, yeah, unfortunately, you just kind of have to buy them sooner rather than later. And if you wait a few years, the price could double, triple, quadruple, who knows. That's something that just kind of sucks, and that's the way it is. Best advice that I can give for those types of games is to make sure that you really want that game. Don't just get a game because it's high profile. That's just not smart to do. I know there's some of you who have told me about spending quite a bit of money on certain games, but they really wanted that game, and that game was special to them in such a way that it actually was worth spending that amount of money on it. Alright, but with all that said, that leads to this video's question, which is one that I'm really excited to ask all of you. And the question is, what's a time that you felt a sense of panic when you saw the price of a game that you were really interested in continue to increase and increase and increase? Did you find a way to buy the game? Did you say screw it? What did you do? I really want to hear what you have to say. And don't be afraid to be honest, because a lot of times that makes the answers a lot more entertaining. So leave those comments down below, and I will see ya in the next video.
He's the retro bird, yeah. And he's talking about video games. He's the retro